Well, here we are. Oh my, I had a little trouble with my watch. I almost didn't make it. So anyway, but we are here. And tonight I'm going to do a piece by Thomas Meehan. And let me introduce you to Thomas Meehan. He was born in 1932. He was working on the Talk of the Town department when a friend introduced him to Ina Clare and Uta Hagen. And we'll meet both of them in just a moment. Later, he wrote the book for the musical Annie, which won a Tony Award. Meehan has collaborated with Mel Brooks on the film To Be or Not to Be and Spaceballs, and on the stage version of The Producers, for which he also won a Tony. So, Thomas Meehan. But this is called Ima Dream. And it's one I've postponed for some time, but now's the time. Ima Dream by Thomas Meehan. In this dream, which I have had on the night of the full moon for the past 3 months, I am giving a cocktail party in honor of Ima Sumac, the Peruvian singer. This is strange at once, for while I have unbounded admiration for 4-octave voices, I have never met Miss Sumac. And even in a dream, it seems unlikely that I should be giving her a party. No matter. She and I are in the small living room of my apartment on Charles Street in Greenwich Village, and we are getting along famously. I have told her several of my Swedish dialect stories, and she has reciprocated by singing for me in Quechua a medley of Andean folk songs. Other guests are expected momentarily. I have no idea, however, who any of them will be. Miss Sumac is wearing a blue ball gown, and I am in white tie and tails. Obviously, despite the somewhat unfashionable neighborhood and the cramped quarters of my apartment, it is to be a pretty swell affair. In any case, I have spread several dishes of fritos about the room, and on what is normally my typing table, there is a bowl of hot glögg. The doorbell rings. A guest. I go to the door, and there, to my astonished delight, is Ava Gardner. This is going to be a bit of all right, I think. "Tom, darling," she says, embracing me warmly, "how wonderful of you to have asked me." In my waking hours, unfortunately, I have never met Miss Gardner. In my dream, though, my guests seem to know me rather intimately, while oddly, none of them seem to know each other. Apparently, it is their strong common affection for me that has brought them to Charles Street. For my part, although I immediately recognize each guest as he or she arrives, I have no memory of having ever met any of them, or for that matter, of having invited them to a party in my apartment. On with the dream, however. "Meet Miss Ava Gardner," I say. "I'd like you to meet Miss Ima Sumac." "Charmed," says Miss Sumac. "Delighted," counters Miss Gardner. "Ah, but Tom," says Miss Sumac, with an enchanting laugh which runs up the scale from E above middle C to C above high C, "let us not on this of all occasions be formal. Por favor, introduce each guest only by the first name, so that we may all quickly become, how shall I say, amigos." Typical Peruvian friendliness, I think, and we introduce the two. "Ava, Ima," I say. We sit around for some time, sipping glögg and munching fritos. Things seem to be going well. The doorbell rings again. The second guest is a man, Abba Eban, the former Israeli ambassador to the United Nations. Again, I make the introductions and, bowing to the wishes of the guest of honor, keep things on a first-name basis. Abba, Ima, Abba, Ava, I say. I stifle a grin. But neither Miss Sumac nor my 2 other guests see anything amusing in the exchange. We chat. The bell rings again, and I am pleased to find Una O'Neill Charlie Chaplin's wife at the door. She is alone. I bring her into the room. Una, Ima, Una, Ava, Una, Abba, I say. We are standing in a circle now, smiling brightly but not talking much. I sense a slight strain, but the party is young and may yet come to life. The bell again. It is another man, Ugo Betti, the Italian playwright. A bit hurriedly, I introduced him to the circle. Ugo Ima, Ugo Ava, Ugo Una, Ugo Abba, I say. Miss Sumac gives me an enigmatic glance that I try to interpret. Boredom? Thirst? No, she looks almost irritated. Hastily, I replenish everyone's glass. For some reason, I begin to hope that no other guests have been invited. The doorbell rings once again, however, and I open the door on two lovely actresses, Ona Munson and Ida Lupino. This gives me a happy inspiration for my introductions. Ona and Ida, I say, surely you know Ima and Ava. Ida, Ona, Una, Abba. Damn, it doesn't come out even. Ida, Ona, Ugo. I finish lamely. I have scarcely given Miss Munson and Miss Lupino their first drinks when I am again summoned to the door. My guest stands stony-faced as I usher in the new arrival, the young Aga Khan. He is looking exceptionally well turned out in a dinner jacket with a plaid cummerbund. Smiling too cheerfully, I introduce him to the waiting group. Folks, I say, using a word I have always detested, here's the Aga Khan, you know. But there is silence, so I must continue. Aga, Ima, Ava, Una, Ona and Ida, Abba and Ugo. The Aga Khan and Mr. Iban, I notice, take an immediate dislike to one another, and I begin to feel an unmistakable pall descending over my party. I suggest a game of charades. This is met with glacial looks from everyone, including Miss Gardner, whose earlier affection for me has now totally vanished. When the doorbell rings this time, everybody turns and glares at the door. I open it and discover another pair, Ira Wolfert, the novelist, and Ilya Ehrenberg, the Russian novelist. The latter, I know, is quite a man of the world, so I try a new approach. Ilya, I say, why don't you just introduce yourself and Ira? You know all these lovely people, don't you? Yet, says Mr. Ehrenberg. Can't say that I do. Oh, all right, I say. Ilya, Ira, here's Ima, Ava, Una. Ilya, Ira, Ona, Ida, Abba, Ugo, Aga. I ask Miss Sumac to sing for us. She refuses. We continue with the glug and some hopelessly inane small talk. Mr. Iban and the Aga Khan stand at opposite sides of the room, eyeing each other. I begin to wish I'd never given the goddamn party. Ona Munson jostles Ugo Betti's elbow by accident, spilling his drink. I spring forward to put them at their ease, whipping a handkerchief from my pocket. Never mind, I cry. No damage done. Ugo, you go. Get yourself another drink. I'll just wipe this glug from the rug. The guests fix me with narrowed eyes. At this moment, Eva Gabor, the Hungarian actress, sweeps through the door, which I have cleverly left open. Unaware of the way things are going, she embraces me and turns beaming to meet the others. Inevitably, I must make the introductions. I start rapidly. Eva meet Ima and Ava and Una, but then I find that Miss Gabor is pausing to hug each guest in turn, so I am forced to make the remaining introductions separately. Eva, Ona. Eva, Ida. Eva, Ugo. Eva Abba, Eva Ilya, Eva Ira, Eva Aga. This is a terrible party. All the men have bunched up. We stand in a circle, glowering at one another. I can think of nothing to say. I feel oddly hemmed in, like a man who is about to be stoned to death. Am I late? Asked the actress Uke Hagen gaily as she comes tripping into the room. No, no, I say, gallantly taking her arm and steering her at once toward the punch bowl and away from the others. Please have the common decency to introduce your guests to one another, says Miss Sumac in a cold monotone, and in the proper manner. In the dream, Ema Sumac seems to have some kind of hold over me, and I must do as she wishes. Okay, I snap crossly. Uta, Ema, Uta, Abba, Ava, Uta, Una, Uta, Ona, Uta, Ida, Uta, Ugo, Uta, Abba, Uta, Ilya, Uta, Ira, Uta, Aga, Uta, Ava. I turn to see if this has placated Miss Sumac, but she coldly ignores me. I have begun to hate her. Then I discover that the glug has run out, and I am forced to offer my guests rye and 7-Up. In the hope that no further company will arrive, I silently close the door. The bell rings instantly, however, and I feel a chill run down my spine. I pretend not to hear it. Answer the door, Miss Sumac says peremptorily. My circle of guests moves menacingly toward me. With a plummeting heart, I open the door. Standing before me in immaculate evening dress is a sturdy, distinguished-looking man. He is the Polish concert pianist, Mieczysław Herzowski. Come in, Mieczysław, I cry with tears in my eyes. I've never been so glad to see anyone in my whole life. And here, always, my dream ends. And that is Ema Dream by Thomas Meehan. Oh, my. One of my very favorites, and I've put it off, but tonight was the night. Thank you so much, my dears. It's a short one, but I hope a very satisfying one tonight. And I will see you again next Wednesday at 6 for Tales and Cocktails. Goodbye. Good night. Not goodbye, just good night.